Now, the outcome could set a major legal precedent for how copyrighted content is treated in the age of artificial intelligence. Now, that's what's going on in London. We'll keep track of that and have conversations on that. But going back to the discussion, US-China, UK-China trade talks, we have our correspondent, Juliana Olayinka in London, to give us more insights about that. Good morning, Juliana. It's good to have you on the program.
Good morning, Will.
Juliana, what's the mood in London today? This is a meeting between Finance Minister Rachel Reeves and the Vice Premier and the Premier of China, Ho Linfeng. This is coming at a time when a lot of tensions in terms of trade talks and tariffs. What's happening in London regarding this? How are people receiving this particular notice of meeting between these countries? And not just the UK, we know the US officials are going to be part of that meeting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Will. I think the UK is obviously at the centre of a really important historical moment, which is the next chapter of pretty fraught US-China trade talks. Now, of course, this all erupted in February, and at a time, I think, levies had peaked at about 145%. But last month, there was a breather in the tensions, and now this is, as I said, the next chapter in those discussions. So we've got quite a large delegation from Washington, led by the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and as you quite rightly said, Vice Premier He Lifeng from China. He arrived in London yesterday. So what is going to happen? We're not sure. Of course, we know the body language of the White House is certainly determined by Donald Trump. But I think last week there was a discussion, a phone call between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump, and it appears to be that it was quite positive. So let's see what happens over the next couple of days. Separately, as you quite rightly said, Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, she will be having a further meeting, a bilateral meeting with the Vice Premier. And again, lots of these discussions are going to be around trade and, bolstering that really important relationship between Britain and and China, which has, again, also been tense over the past couple of years. But I think Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, has made renewing that relationship one of his top policy priorities.
Okay, speaking of relationships, is the UK trying to, play both sides here? Saying the meeting is holding in London, are they trying to be a neutral broker here, trying to make US happy and make China happy at the same time?
I think a neutral promise broker, as you say, is certainly the position I think Britain are trying to play to. Again, I think, the UK have kind of steered clear of some of the tougher trade tariffs that have come out of Washington, including the last one is still an aluminium. And I think, Sir Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves and equally the entire cabinet want to make sure they stay on Donald Trump's right side, right? Who doesn't want to be on the right side of the man holding the kitty to the most powerful economy in the world? And again, this is a huge historical moment. All markets are going to be reacting to whatever comes out of London over the next couple of days. So yes, I think it's quite fair to say that Britain are playing a politically neutral role.
Okay, but there's the issue of the proposed Chinese embassy. The US had raised concerns about its proximity to the financial districts in the UK and raising concerns, national security concerns, proximity to data centers, and that is very key for the US, saying, the complaints already that, China is already stealing data. So what is it about this? What concerns do you see? Is this going to be a huge subject matter on the agenda, or is this just going to be something that will be rolled over?
No, I think this is a growing political row involving a pretty important, strategically important building called the Royal Mint Court, which, as you know, London quite well, Will, is just opposite the Tower of London, and it was purchased by the Chinese government in 2018 under the then Conservative government. And in 2022, Beijing put in a bid to basically create a super Chinese embassy, which would be China's largest embassy in Europe. Now, at the time, the local council, Tower Hamlets, rejected the application. And now it basically falls in the hands of the central government, led really by the housing minister, Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner, and, MI6, MI5, as well as Trump's administration of flagged this as being a total security risk, particularly because there are some fiber cables connected under the building, and the Chinese have been accused of espionage. Throughout the years. So that is likely going to be a difficult discussion for the British government and China, because again, it's clearly one of Sir Keir Starmer's top priorities to keep China on side, as well as keep Donald Trump on side, and that's a very difficult, delicate balancing act.
Just hope that this is not going to be more of optics, the meetings, and less of progress talks in terms of the action plans that are going to come out of this meeting, Juliana. Do we expect something concrete before the end of today? Just very quickly, do you think so?
Well, the meeting is going to be taking place over the next couple of days, so I don't think we're going to get much out today. But again, I think markets are, all awaiting any sort of positive sentiment, because this is a discussion of the world's two largest economies, and already we're seeing data out of China showing that these Trump tariffs are affecting their output. So yeah, let's wait and see what top line we get throughout the day, Will.
Thank you so much, Juliana, for your perspective. As always, good to have you.